The mission, the extraction team, Vanguard 6, was not paid to ask questions. Their objective was simple: retrieve a black box from an underground research facility beneath the Siberian permafrost. The facility, known as Sector 9, had gone dark 48 hours ago. Elias, the team leader, signaled his squad to breach the blast door. As the heavy steel groaned open, they weren't met with alarms or gunfire. There was only a suffocating silence and the smell of ozone. The anomaly. "Check your vitals," Elias whispered into his comms. "Sir, the motion sensors are redlining," Jax, the tech expert, replied, his voice trembling. "But the corridors are empty." Suddenly, the lights flickered. In the strobe-like flashes, they saw it, a figure standing at the end of the hall. It looked exactly like Jax, same gear, same posture, but it was vibrating at an impossible speed. "Contact!" Elias roared. The team opened fire. Submachine guns thundered, spitting lead into the dark. But the bullets didn't hit flesh. They passed through the figure as if it were smoke, burying themselves in the wall behind it. The duplicate tilted its head, unhinged its jaw to a terrifying width, and let out a sound that wasn't a scream. It was the sound of their own gunfire played backward. "The chase. Move. Fall back to the elevator," Elias commanded. The action exploded into a frantic sprint. As they ran, the facility itself began to betray them. Doors slammed shut on their own. Gravity shifted, sending them crashing against the ceiling. From the shadows, more duplicates emerged. They weren't just ghosts, they were glitches in reality. One of the entities grabbed Sarah, the medic. It didn't bite or scratch, it simply merged with her. Her screams morphed into a digital screech as she vanished into the wall, leaving only a scorched silhouette of carbon. The stand. Only Elias and Jax reached the sub-level laboratory. The black box sat on a pedestal, surrounded by shattered mirrors. "We have to blow the core," Jax gasped, priming a thermite charge. "This isn't a lab, Elias. It's a cage for something that eats time." The shadows converged. A dozen versions of Elias stepped into the light, moving in perfect, terrifying sync. The real Elias didn't hesitate. He dived through a hail of glass, grabbing the box while Jax detonated the charges. The floor turned into liquid darkness, and the world began to fold like paper. The twist. The explosion ripped through the facility. Minutes later, a man crawled out of the smoking ruins into the freezing Siberian night. He was gasping, clutching the black box to his chest. He saw a rescue helicopter descending, its searchlights blinding. "I'm here," he shouted, waving his hand. The helicopter landed, and a soldier jumped out. The soldier stopped dead, his rifle raised. "Identify yourself," the soldier yelled. The survivor looked down at his own hands. They were translucent. He looked into the reflection of the helicopter's window and saw not his face, but a hollow void of static. He hadn't escaped the facility. The facility had sent a copy of him out to see the world. And back in the dark, deep underground, the real Elias was still screaming, trapped behind a mirror that would never break. The false return. The Elias that stepped onto the rescue helicopter didn't go to a hospital. He was taken to a high-security bunker in Nevada, known as the Vault. For 3 weeks, he sat in an interrogation room, his skin looking like pale parchment, his eyes never blinking. General Vance stared at him through the one-way glass. "He hasn't eaten. He hasn't slept. And the black box we recovered? It's humming at a frequency that's melting our hard drives." Inside the room, the Elias thing suddenly looked directly at the glass. It didn't speak with its mouth. The speakers in the observation room simply bled noise. "The signal is weak," it whispered in 1,000 layered voices. "I need more bandwidth." The breach, high-octane chaos. Suddenly, the bunker's lights turned a violent, bruised purple. The Elias thing stood up, and its body began to stretch. Its limbs elongated like pulled taffy, snapping against the walls with the sound of breaking wood. "Security. Code red." Vance screamed. The heavy steel door hissed open, and a tactical team flooded the room, firing specialized EMP rounds. But the entity flickered. It was lagging through the physical world. A bullet would pass through its chest, and a second later, the bullet would reappear inside the chest of the soldier who fired it. "It's reflecting the damage," shouted one of the guards before his body folded into itself like a crushed soda can. The entity wasn't just killing, it was overriding. Every person it touched turned into a gray, faceless statue, a placeholder for a reality that no longer existed. The revelation, the two worlds. Back in the frozen ruins of Sector 9 in Siberia, something impossible happened. Deep beneath the ice, in the pitch-black silence of the destroyed lab, a hand punched through a shard of a shattered mirror. The real Elias crawled out. He was covered in frost and blood, but he wasn't alone. Behind the glass veil, he could see thousands of trapped souls, Sarah, Jax, and the scientists, all screaming in a silent, crystalline dimension. He realized the terrifying truth. The black box wasn't a hard drive, it was a bridge. Elias found a functioning radio in the wreckage. The frequency was distorted by the supernatural storm, but he caught a signal from the vault in Nevada. He heard the sounds of the massacre, the same backward gunfire he had heard before. "Vanguard, 6 to anyone on this channel." Elias croaked into the mic. "The thing in Nevada isn't a copy. It's an anchor. It's pulling our world into the mirror. If you don't destroy the box, the two realities will merge, and we'll all be glitches forever." The climax, the mirror war. In Nevada, the entity had reached the bunker's main server room. It placed its hand on the central computer. The screens across the entire United States began to flicker. People watching TV, looking at their phones, or driving GPS-guided cars saw the same thing, the face of the entity. In Siberia, Elias grabbed a leftover thermite charge. He knew what he had to do. The only way to break the anchor was to destroy this source, mirror in Sector 9, while simultaneously destroying the box in Nevada. "Do it now," Elias screamed into the radio. In Nevada, General Vance, realizing the horror, turned his own sidearm toward the black box and fired his last clip. In Siberia, Elias slammed the thermite onto the mirror core. The final heartbeat. A blinding white light consumed both locations. There was a sound of 1,000,000,000 mirrors shattering at once. When the smoke cleared in Nevada, the entity was gone. The black box was molten slag. The soldiers were dead, but the glitching had stopped. But in Siberia, the rescue team arrived at the ruins of Sector 9. They found the radio. They found the thermite burns. But when they looked at the massive mirror frame, they saw something that froze their hearts. The mirror wasn't broken. It was perfectly smooth. And on the other side of the glass, a single message was written in blood, backward. "You broke the wrong side."